On Mothering Sunday, we give thanks for the love and nurture of mothers, but we also think of those who play any kind of mothering role in the lives of children and young people, whether it's extended family members, siblings, aunties, grandparents, or those in the wider community, teachers, nurses. So what I'd like you to do is take a moment, turn to the person next to you. Who cared for you when you were a child? Have a think, have a chat, find someone next to you, behind you, around you. Think as wide as you can. Have a quick chat. Who cared for you?
Quite a short chat. My dad I just remember very much my mum was like the big care.
Yes.
My dad didn't get home until
This is always a bit dangerous because I have to try and bring you all back to order. Hello. Thank you. So I remember back to when I was growing up, and there were two very special people in my life growing up. There was a lady called Mary, and she was my godmum, and my own mum was a night nurse. And so Mary used to take me in at night, because my dad was never really reliable enough for me to be left in his care. So Mary even put a sign up on her door. She didn't have children of her own, and she had Amanda's room, because Amanda is her full name. So I used to go and stay with Mary 2 or 3 times every week when my mum was working her nights. There was another lady, her name was Anne, and some of you might have heard me talk about Anne. Everybody needs an Anne in their life. She was my Sunday school leader, and she was a woman like this. She was a woman that was just cunning. She just wanted to look after and to love, and I stayed with her on several occasions as well. Everybody needs an Anne in their life. She was not my mum, but she was better than any, because she knew everything, but she didn't have to say anything, which is always really good. So in this passage, we see the wider community involved in the rescue of Moses. The context, the background for this passage in Exodus 2 is that the Israelites were slaves in Egypt and oppressed by their Egyptian masters, who feared they were being overrun by the Israelites. They exploited them. Pharaoh also ordered that all the Hebrew boy children should be killed at birth. So, because Moses was a boy, his life was in immediate danger from the moment of birth. Hence the reason his mother hid him for 3 months. Not sure how. I've not been a mum, but I've seen mums with babies. Hiding a baby is not an easy thing. But anyway, there's a basket in the water. There's a baby in the basket. Amram and Jochebed, his wife, from the tribe of Levi, had faith in God's plans and purposes for their baby son, even though Pharaoh had decreed that Hebrew baby boys were to be disposed of. Now the son was 3 months old, and it must have been harder and harder to hide it, because babies do cry. And we heard you, Lucy. Love you. Now their son was 3 months old, and the writer of the letter to the Hebrews writes, they were not afraid of Pharaoh's decrees. It says, by faith Moses, when he was born, was hid for 3 months by his parents, because they saw that he was no ordinary child, and they were not afraid of the king's edict. That's in Hebrews chapter 11. So they sought God's help to save their son's life. They believed and expected that the God of Israel could change their son's circumstances. So there's a baby in a basket. There's a baby in a basket. I've had lessons from Diane this morning. The basket held a precious load, full of the hopes and dreams of a mum who, realising he could do no more for her child, passed the responsibility into God's hands. Through their faith, Moses' parents were inspired to make or find a basket they could adapt to float on the waters of the Nile. How hard it must have been for Jochebed, his mother, to let go of that basket. A baby so vulnerable, unable to protect itself, in need of others for everything. Moses' mother does her best for him, but there's a point at which she can no longer protect him, and she decides to entrust his fate to the river and to God, making sure he is well protected as he can be. But Jochebed knew that the baby was not alone. Miriam was watching. Miriam, the sister of Moses, maybe knew about the plan, or maybe she just saw her mother carry the basket to the River Nile, and she watched closely as she waited to see into whose hands the baby would fall. And of course, God was watching too. Through a mum's faith, she put her precious baby into the hands of the Lord, in the hope that God would provide a way. The daughter of Pharaoh came down to the River Nile to bathe, and she saw the basket and sent her maid to fetch it to her. Opening the basket, she heard the baby's cry and took pity on him. The daughter of Pharaoh named him Moses, because I drew him from the water. Miriam's hope for her mum that she would look after him depended on her speaking out. In the Storyteller Bible, it says God nudged her. So she recommended to the daughter of Pharaoh that a Hebrew nurse could look after him, and Miriam brought along Moses' mum. And God just smiled. For now, little Moses would be raised by his own mother, taught the Hebrew ways, and be ready for that day when God would use him to set his people free. How blessed Jochebed was to have her son in her arms again, safe and well. A basket that holds a precious load. So what other baskets have I got under here? A laundry basket for our dirty linen. The clothes we wear that get dirty through just life. The clothes that show our mishaps, like my yogurt explosion on Friday. The clothes that show the dirty joggers that need doing. Moses was born into a situation not of his making. The Israelites were in slavery, the baby boys are being killed, and none of it's his fault. The world he was born into, with all its dirt and grime, danger and threats. But we have a message of forgiveness and freedom for those who are sinned and are splattered with mess. A sewing basket for mending. Life can be tough for so many reasons, and there are times we might need mending. Whether the care of the medical profession for our broken bodies, the care of our family and friends for broken minds, or the love of our God to mend a broken spirit. God used Pharaoh's daughter to mend a broken system, to save the life of Moses. She was an enemy of the Hebrew people, and just like in the New Testament with the Good Samaritan, God uses surprising people to change lives. We have a message of restoration for those who are broken. A bread basket for provision. Here at the Good Shepherd, we know only too well about the current escalating need for provision of food. The larder has been so incredibly busy providing basic food, which does include bread. And as we get closer to Easter and we go through Holy Week with the celebration of the Last Supper and the agony of the cross, where we see Jesus' body broken for us, Jesus, the bread of life, we have a message of God, of a God who provides for those in need. Don't be scared, Michelle. Michelle knows this all too well. Sing song? Music time basket for joy and laughter. If you're ever near the church on a Wednesday morning, you'll see plenty of these baskets. A time where women, mums, grands, carers, grandchildren, and a few dads, they sing and dance and celebrate life. The joy that Jochebed must have felt when Miriam brought Moses back to her. We have a message of a God that gives light in the darkness, life in all its fullness, and joy that strengthens us. So baskets. Baskets for a precious load. Baskets for the reality of life, with all its dirt and mess. Baskets for mending, for those who are broken. Baskets for provision, for all those in need. And baskets for joy, for those who are celebrating. There's a basket in the water. There's a baby in the basket. Jochebed put her precious child into a basket. She could do no more to keep him safe. She did the best she could. Miriam watched over the basket and stepped in to bring Moses back to his mother. The princess discovered the basket and had compassion on the vulnerable baby. At the start of this talk, I asked, who cared for you? I wonder if anyone else has come to mind during this talk. 3 women, all involved in the care of this child. A mother who knew him only as a mother can, a sister who watched over him and spoke out, and a stranger, an enemy, who took pity and acted. 3 very different women who played different parts for the one child. I wonder, what basket might you be for someone? Could you be the person who speaks the message of God's trust, hope and love, forgiveness and freedom, restoration, provision, joy? Please stand if you are able. We're going to sing our next song.